Hey, what's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here. It is Thursday, January 17th, 2019, 4:33 p.m. out here on the West Coast, and taking a look at Earthquake 3D and live seismograph stations at various points across the globe. Shows relatively quiet on those live seismograph stations. It is today, January 17th, is the 25th anniversary of the Northridge earthquake that took place down there in Southern California 25 years ago. Wow, that's pretty crazy. A 6.7 magnitude earthquake down there in the San Fernando Valley region just caused havoc and collapsed freeways and did a lot of damage. Dozens killed. Looks like $25 billion in damage took place down there 25 years ago at 4:31 a.m. January 17th, 1994. It was actually a hidden fault they didn't know about. So, stuff can take place out there. We're just visitors here on this planet, right? So anyway, getting back to the earthquake data and the earthquake 3D globe here. Shows some activity down there, well, south of California anyway, with that 5.3 out there around the Baja California region. There is also some activity I'm going to point out here along the San Andreas Fault section too that's got me a little, just a tad bit concerned here. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Also along the west coast, up around the Canada region here, Vancouver Island region, a 4.2 magnitude earthquake took place there. These are about ready to fall off the globe here, indicating some older earthquakes there with the red colored rings. Oklahoma having a small 2.9 over there as well. Some deep earthquake happening once again out there in Fiji Islands region there. You can see that 4.5 and 4.7 showing up right there at over 600 kilometers deep there. That 4.7 not hitting the 600 mark, but 533 kilometers. Pretty deep as well. Fairly large earthquake over here around Papua New Guinea region there with a 6.1 magnitude striking earlier today. That is in there in that mix. If I could bring the magnitudes down there, you can see a 6.1 and a 5.6. Quite a few fives in there as well, following that aftershock activity. Following the Pacific plate up here towards Japan. And, well, a little bit of activity. A couple fours popping off there, but that's nothing major. Most of the activity, for the most part, you spin the globe around here, looks like it's taking place out here in the famous region out here in the western part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. This activity looks like it's normal now. This is what I've been seeing, when we have earthquake activity on a normal basis. This is what we see. Deep earthquakes over here around Fiji, and large and medium-large earthquakes over here around Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, and up here along the western part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. So I expect this to continue and probably see some more activity up here just north of here, and also around the Japan region there with a couple fives, possible six popping off here over the next day or so. We'll keep an eye on that as well. But for the most part, well, there she spins. Little 5.3 down here on the southern part of the globe. Looks like more recent earthquake here. They got this listed as being just southwest of Africa. That's all they listed there on the USGS website. So taking a look here, I want to show you guys real quick the activity that I'm talking about here in California. Okay, now this here is the 7-day all magnitude events here with the USGS map, and this map right here also shows you folks the fault lines, like the major fault lines here in California. San Andreas Fault Zone right here, which is that dark red line, and that's definitely a major fault, right? Everyone knows about the San Andreas Fault system, and it shows other smaller faults throughout the region as well. This one, let me zoom in here just a little bit. Let me take this a little bit closer. Around the Bay Area, they've been having some earthquake activity. A couple threes popping off, and then some aftershock activity as well. Let me see where these went to. These are just a lot of ones in there as well, unless somehow they downgraded them. But I could have swore, right? I'm sure you folks that keep updated on earthquakes know that the Bay Area has been having a few earthquakes there, because I've seen it on the news. I've seen it all over Facebook. But for some oddball reason, I am not seeing it on this latest USGS map. Well, why not? That's kind of strange, right? It's just showing a lot of earthquake activity as far as the geysers go, right? You can see that little cluster of quakes up there. The yellows, that's normal activity. But I'm talking about down here. What happened to my 3s? There's a 3.5. Okay, that's one. I must have overlooked it. Maybe I'm just not used to the circles being so small, right? Okay. So yeah, there's a 3.5. And I could have swore there was another one that had just popped off a couple days ago there. Okay, 3.4. There we go. 3.4 right here, and then a 3.5. If you guys see what I'm talking about right there. That's all right around the Oakland region, right? They're just covered up. You can't really see them all that well because they're just stacked on top of each other. Just north of Oakland, southeast of Berkeley region there, right on that fault system right there, the Hayward Fault zone. And this is the northern Hayward Fault section, the one that's supposedly locked. And this is the one that could produce a medium, well, a large 6 magnitude earthquake. Middle 6s is what I was trying to say, up to about a 6.5 on this fault system here. I know the scientists and the geologists and the professional bigwigs have been saying and have been talking about this fault system for many years being in the danger zone. So we have seen activity. We have seen swarms on this fault system in the past, but right now I figured I would point out a couple minor earthquakes in the middle 3 range, folks. And that's, you know, that when we see back-to-back 3s like that, it's something to open an eye about, right? It's something to just, hey, what's going on over here? Nothing to panic about, but it's something to watch, and I am keeping an eye on it. The latest, that 3.5 there occurring this morning near Piedmont. I think I pronounced that correctly. Never been down there. I have been down to San Francisco region. I just don't care for that area one bit. Too much traffic, a lot of disrespectful and rude people down there. That is not my type of city. So, yeah. Moving on. The other, see, San Andreas Fault system, from here anyway, is well over here, right? Well west of that region right there. By quite a few miles. You can see that red line there, indicating the San Andreas Fault system running up through here, through the Bay Area. This one here is the big one. I want to go down to Southern California and follow that fault system here, okay? That San Andreas Fault system. Down here, around the Salton Sea region. Now, let's see if I can pull that up here. This running a little slow, but we'll get to it. Just been one of those days, man. I tell you what, we've had lots of rain here in California. We definitely got that 3 to 4 inches of rain that people, or that the forecasters were talking about. Quite a bit of rain, folks, and feet of snow up there in the mountains. It's unbelievable. A little bit of flooding out here. Actually, quite a bit of flooding where I live out here in Northern California. Quite a few roads are closed and people's houses out there being flooded. So this here, down here in Southern California, you got the San Andreas Fault section, right? It used to end. If you took a look at this map here a couple years ago, you would see this line, right? You got the red line where it says San Andreas Fault Zone, Cochita section, it looks like. Sounds like a bad word in Spanish, right? So you, down here, just south of here, as it goes into the Salton Sea region, this used to not be here. This was actually gone until they figured out that this actually extended down here through Brawley and almost connecting down here to the other section of the Imperial Fault. They kind of thought that these are connected somehow underneath the ground, okay? But either way, we're seeing a swarm of earthquake activity down here on this section that they named the Brawley Fault Zone. I think I pronounced that correctly. Brawley Fault system. See if I can get that to pop back up here again. But you can see a multitude of earthquakes here. 22 earthquakes just within this little region right here on the Brawley seismic zone section here. Like I say, you got the San Andreas Fault system up here where it ends, but it really doesn't end, right? It continues, but under a different name through Brawley. All this activity right here is not major. There's a couple threes. There's lots of ones. There's that 3.1 right there. Kind of off to the west of all these little earthquakes here. Some twos. Quite a bit of twos here. Another 3.1. The depth on these, roughly, right where you'd expect to see them there at surface quake zones there, 3 to 4. Some deeper earthquakes there at 8 kilometers there. So a little bit of activity occurring, folks. So we have activity occurring in Northern California, just south of the Bay, right, on a zone that's locked and has been ready to go for quite some time. That's the northern section of the Hayward Fault system. You can look it up. I'm not going to go through many articles right now to show you folks, but it's been talked about quite a bit. And we're also seeing some swarming down here on the southern section of the San Andreas Fault system, where it has now been named the Brawley section. This line, like I mentioned here, we can see that little blue dot right there. Little blue dot. Brawley seismic zone, I should say. Is that different than the fault systems? I don't know, but that's what they named it. That's what the professionals named it. So we got 22 earthquakes down here, folks. Spread out just a little bit. They're not completely centered in one location, but they are spread out by probably 2 to 3 miles, it looks like, according to scale down here, just south of, right on the Salton Sea region. Now, this could have something to do, right, with all the rain that's going on. California has had quite a bit of rain, including Southern California, so it's possible we could be seeing some water down there, pooling water. Maybe, you know, maybe a lot of water is down there. I haven't looked yet. I haven't really checked, but they have had some storms down there. Quite a bit of rain, actually. Not for sure the amount, but I know the entire state has had significant rainfall. So this could have something to do with the ground adjusting to the rainfall, the rain that's soaking into the ground, and the rain that may not be soaking into the ground, just due to the type of ground soil that's down there. But we will keep an eye on it. It's just an interesting point to an interesting area to point out here with this activity, because we have seen some major swarming out there in the past. Right now, moderate swarming. I will keep an eye on it. Down here to the south, where I mentioned that it does kind of separate again, right? Separates from the San Andreas Fault system down to the Brawley section, and then it just kind of cuts out, right? Well, you guys can see that area as well. Not any bigger earthquakes, but definitely some swarming going on down there as well, with a couple twos, many ones, and a cluster of 36 earthquakes in this region here, right around Imperial, Southern California, and south of Brawley, California. Could be water related, could be weather related. We will keep an eye on it. And either way, I remember reading something a while back in an article, this was many years ago, about a scientist giving his speech and giving his statement on when he thinks we will see a major earthquake out here in California on these sections that are locked and loaded, right? Well, they're stuck, right? They're stuck. It's rock to rock, and they're still building up pressure. What would it take to release that pressure? Well, more pressure, obviously, right? Eventually build more pressure, and it will snap. It'll pop. The rocks will break. The crust will give away. The fault system will slide and do what it does in an earthquake. But this guy mentioned, if California gets a tremendous amount of rain, lots and lots of rain, where this rain could go down into the earth and loosen up maybe some of these shallow fault systems and release a powerful earthquake. That was coming out of his mouth. I somewhat agree with it. You know, because it's a fault system, right? If you get a lot of rain on it, a lot of you know, runoff into the groundwater, into the streams, and what else? You know, it's possible we could see a release of energy that way. Soften up the soil a little bit, you know, get some water down there in the faults, and voila, it gives away. So we'll see. I mean, it's not like we haven't had rainy years in the past. We've had quite a bit. So Southern California has seen its fair share of rain as well. In the meantime, folks, have a good day out there. Be prepared as always. Live stream still down for next couple months. We'll be back here in March, probably about in early March, I believe. Have a good day. Stay safe, and always be prepared out there. Catch you folks later.